for the Cancor, and I want to thank Sinn Féin once again for giving us the opportunity by tabling this motion. And in relation to Deputy Healy-Rae, I don't think I want to be God, but if I was arrogant enough to go down that road, I choose to be a goddess maybe, and do it completely differently. In relation to this matter, I have to say words fail me in relation to the hypocrisy. And I'm on record, Minister Butler, for praising you for your hands-on approach. But on this issue, I fundamentally disagree with you. And 2 weeks ago, this was paused ostensibly to give us a chance to reflect and to see what would emerge. And I've read all of the documents as best I could. And I am no expert, and I struggled with them. And they have raised more questions than answers. And what really deeply disturbs me is the narrative that has come from the government with certain TDs that were on the Health Committee that played the man rather than the issue. And I stayed late on Thursday, not as late as I should have, but as long as I could. And I really witnessed a deplorable display of tackling the person as opposed to eliciting information. I am not here to tackle or to give out about nuns. I was educated by nuns. I'm not here to even talk about nuns. I'm here to talk about why we don't have a public hospital on a public site. And the pathetic response from the St Vincent's Healthcare Group that they need ownership to have an integrated service is nothing short of pathetic and unacceptable to me as a woman and a female TD. That the government would accept that is also unacceptable to me. So let's look at what we've gone around in a circle. Let's look at what Mr Menton said back in 17. James Menton, on record on the 30th of May 2017, the day after the Religious Sisters of Charity announced their intention to depart the St Vincent Health Group. He said the move would only proceed on the basis of existing agreements that give ownership and control of the new hospital to the St Vincent's Healthcare Group. Ownership and control, clearly stated. Fast forward to 22, that's exactly what we're giving to a trinity of control. Little things have changed. Changes with directorship in terms of numbers, changes in terms of a golden share, and nowhere is it outlined the process of that golden share. But what we have, Minister, and I'm addressing you in particular because you have strong opinions on this, and I'm asking you to look at that trinity of ownership. St Vincent Holdings at the top of the pyramid, the government have absolutely no say, no influence, nothing. St Vincent's Holdings owned 100% St Vincent's Healthcare Group. No input from the government whatsoever, except perhaps through a director that will come up from the new company which was established just over less than 2 years ago, the designated company that will run the hospital. And that will be composed of 9 directors, 3 of which will come from the St Vincent Healthcare Group. Can you tell me why they have to be there? Can you tell me why 3 directors from the owning group have to be on the hospital? Can you tell me that? Can you tell me why the director has to come from that group every 3 years? Can you tell me why no documentation or clarification, only once again assurances in relation to the transfer, not a gifting, a transfer of the land or the asset owned by the nuns to the new company, St Vincent's Holding? Why can't we have that documentation? Were there any conditions? If not, wonderful. That means they can hand the land now to the state. So when I hear this sort of disingenuous argument going around that we're against the nuns or against the religion, may well be, but that's not the issue at all. The issue in the 21st century is a public maternity hospital on a public site. Why? Because that's what the Dáil wants. That's what they said in Sláinte here. That's what the 2 reports said in relation to how we move away from private care and public facilities. Dr. Butler and Catherine Day, both reports ignored by the government, not even mentioned by the government. I would think you might do us the decency of going through these issues with us and telling us what your opinion is on that. And then the deeply hypocritical stance to go with this motion after making the decision this morning in Cabinet, not even to wait for democracy in action or the illusion of democracy in action. And as a woman, I won't accept this. I can't change your mind, but I can place on record that we saw through your spin. particularly Mr Donnelly's spin, because that's all it is. It is absolute spin. I see through it. I'm telling the people that are listening that they see through it, and I share that with them, and it's unacceptable.